the discrepancy in the record books. There you see Coach Kidd in his 31st season at Eastern Kentucky, and I'll tell you what, you look at the record book and you can't find too many coaches ahead of Roy Kidd. He also has the top winning percentage among active Division I AA coaches. Of course, Jim Tressel is climbing that list very quickly. Both coaches have won well over 70% of their games. We are just about ready for football here at Stambaugh Stadium, and in an unusual circumstance, the Penguins will get the ball first. Generally, if they win the toss, they will defer and elect to defend, but they did not have that option today, and so they will get the ball first, and will be moving left to right on your television screen. For those of you watching in Colonel Country, as I mentioned, the look across the way when you see it will be a familiar one. There are no stands on the other side of the stadium here at Stambaugh. This is a one-sided facility. However, plans are in the making to add seats to the other side. There are about 16,000 seats plus on the what is the home and only side of the stadium. All right, ready to get underway. Eastern Kentucky preparing to kick it off. Mark Collins, the do-everything kicker for the Colonels, will boot it away to Sean Patton and Randy Smith, who spent much of the season as the nation's kickoff return leader. It's Sean Patton from the 1. He is hit at the 19 and falls forward to the 20. Good kick coverage by the Eastern Kentucky Colonels.
And that was Joe Gaines down there for the Colonels. Did a real fine job on the kick coverage. The Penguins were using a double wedge. They took the front line, dropped them straight back in on the hash mark, brought the second wedge up through, and we're trying to pop the seam. And, of course, Smith has done a great job for the Penguins throughout the entire season.
There is Penguins quarterback Mark Brungard. Even though he was 11 for 14 for 198 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions against Alcorn State last week, he dropped out of the top 20 in the national pass efficiency rating. Sean Patton looking to go over 2,000 yards rushing for his career in this ball game today. He only needs 48. Only got about 1 right there. Sean Patton, for you Eastern Kentucky fans, is an interesting story. He's a senior, but has only played, and there you see the people that will be around him in the so-called talent category. Mac Gilchrist, the guy that scored the winning touchdown in September. But Sean Patton was a guy that only played his freshman year, missed 3 years. He's back for his senior year. Those are the fellas that will block for him. Chris Samarone, a preseason All-American. Gain was 2. It's 2nd and 8 from the 22. Penguins in the typical split back. They go split or eye almost all the time. Good rush. Little flip to Patton. 25-30. Open field. He's got 2 guys to beat. He's got him split, but he will be dragged down by Chris Guyton as he gets to the EKU 35 and into the 33-yard line. That's what Mark Brungard does best, and that's what Eastern coach Roy Kidd likes about him. He makes good decisions. We got the huge rush from Shane Balcom, dumped it out in the flat to Sean Patton, who took off running. You'll get a good look at it right here.
As we watch the play here, you'll see 94, Sean Balcom coming inside, or Shane Balcom coming inside, and Brungard just dumped the ball right over top. Excellent job on the part of the Penguin offensive line. Number 78, Ray Miller, out in front of that play, is a 330-pound offensive tackle, offensive guard.
Trent Boykin, the Penguins' leading receiver on the season, the guy in motion. New tailback, Nakia Hendricks, sophomore from Hubbard, Ohio, takes the ball into the middle of the line after the 1st and 10 at the 33. He'll get about 2, and the Penguins will have their second straight, 2nd and 8.
And that was Tony McCombs on the tackle there. He's a sophomore inside linebacker, 137 tackles, doing a great job for EKU.
There's part of the Eastern Kentucky front. You'll see McCombs' name come up among the linebackers. He was just named to the All-Ohio Valley Conference team, and there are the defensive backs. Chris Guyton was the guy that made that tackle on the long run by Sean Patton, and Mark Brungard having a little confusion in getting the right set offensively, and he will take the first timeout of the football game. Timeout Penguins. It comes at the 13:07 mark of the first quarter. The Penguins on the drive. We'll pause with the Penguins and everybody else in the stadium. The score is still 0-0.
At Bank One, we have a vision.
Honey, I'm going down to the bank.
Okay, dear.
We'll be there when you need a checking account, a loan, cash. In fact, now and in the future, we'll be there. Wherever there happens to be.
someone's having cable trouble, I'd like to get it corrected as soon as possible.
Meet American Cable Entertainment technician Matthew Hall. Matthew's job is to see that your cable service works reliably and to correct problems quickly if they occur. Our phones are answered around the clock, and trained technicians like Matthew are on call 24 hours a day. We realize the importance of quality and reliability, and that's why we work hard to make your cable service something to be proud of. After all, it's our hometown, too.
Higher education in Central Kentucky is EKU. Today at EKU, it's UBS, University Book and Supply, your back-to-school headquarters for all required EKU books and supplies. 528 Eastern Bypass, just off campus. The UBS Advantage, instant cash for your books, and it doesn't matter where you bought them. Calculate the advantage. It's instant cash. And you can save 25% store-wide on sweatshirts, EKU gifts, kids' clothing, and Greek items. University Book and Supply.
YSU coach Jim Tressel hoping that he has his troops squared away after that timeout born of necessity. Penguins couldn't get into the right formation in time. They're in a second and a little less than 8 from the Eastern Kentucky 31-yard line. That's Sean Patton in motion. Brungard airs it out short. He was intending to pass for Trent Boykin, but he saw coverage coming up from behind Deshaun Handley and may have intentionally thrown that ball short. Do not want to risk an interception when you're approaching the red zone. And again, you saw his stats a little earlier. Mark Brungard has been almost brutally efficient, throwing only 6 interceptions all year, and can only think really of 1 or 2 that were even borderline costly. 3rd and a long 7 coming up for Youngstown State. Dan Inglis is your fullback right now. He's a guy that started the season on defense. Trent Boykin, the man in motion. Brungard has time, going deep for Dines Whistler, just over his outstretched fingertips. That's been a very productive combination for the Penguins on the long pass play. Again, it was Deshaun Handley on the coverage. The pass goes incomplete. 4th down and a long 7 coming up. And the guy we talked about in pregame, Paul Massero, will be coming out to attempt a long field goal. Here's a look at the incomplete pass.
So the Colonels operate out of a 4-3 defense. They ended up in man coverage that time. Whistler had the corner. Brungard just couldn't quite reach the ball. This pretty long field goal gives us win, Jim.
This is going to be about a 48-yarder, and it would be Massero's longest. It's a sidewinder, well left, and probably not long enough either. So the Penguins missed fire on their first possession, got one big play and couldn't convert, and Eastern Kentucky will get the football for the first time with 12:53 showing on the first quarter clock in a ball game that is still scoreless. You're watching YSU Eastern Kentucky football.
Would you like to have the newest and greatest music ever recorded right in the palm of your hand? Music like country, rock, jazz, classical. Introducing DMX, a revolutionary new way to listen to music. Inside, DMX has digitally programmed the music from tens of thousands of CDs to play through your home stereo on 30 incredible channels. All you need is this. Want your DMX? Call us today.
So you're 34?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just don't have time to go to the bank.
Have any credit cards?
Yep.
Do you have any other outstanding debts?
Nope.
And how much money do you make?
That's why many Bank One loan officers have laptop computers.
Own or rent?
Because if you can't come to the bank,
Any questions?
maybe the bank can come to you.
Me too.
Are you looking for a body shop with a true commitment to quality? At Jake's Forgotten Past Auto Body, we have the latest equipment to properly repair today's more sophisticated automobiles. From the new CP drive-on frame rack to the new Spraytech front floor paint booth, quality repairs are a certainty. Collision repair, frame, unibody repair, insurance claims, or expert painting. You need to come see us at Jake's. Our shop is so busy we've expanded to 2 locations, now located at 308 and 316 North Street in Richmond.
If we run 20, can't really do it.
What you're looking at there, a little interplay between Mark Asher and his offensive lineman on the YSU sideline as they try to make adjustments for their next possession. Eastern Kentucky, 1st and 10 with the ball for the first time at its own 31-yard line. John Saka gives it off. That is Eric Clay, the guy we talked about in the pregame. The guy we did not talk about was John Sacca, the transfer from Penn State. And Dick, he has stepped up his play since that first meeting, much more comfortable in the EKU system.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday afternoon about the transfer, and he said he wanted to go to a team that had a shot at the national championship, and he's absolutely delighted to be at Eastern Kentucky.
There you see his numbers, good numbers, exactly the same number of interceptions as Mark Brungard, not as many touchdowns. 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7 coming up. Once again, it is Clay. Good cutback inside the tackle attempt by Reggie Lee. Pulled down at about the 37 or 38-yard line. And Eastern Kentucky will be 3rd and short. There is that offensive set with Diallo Burks, the guy to look for on the outside in the pass pattern, although Chris Whitefield is the all-conference tight end in the Ohio Valley Conference. There's the offensive line with James Hand and Jason Combs, also all OVC selections. Ball at the 38-yard line. That was a gain of 4. It will bring up 3rd and 3, and the crowd begins to urge the defense on. Youngstown State's defense ranked among the nation's leaders all year long. Clay gets the ball again, steps inside a good block by his fullback, Carlos Stallings, and moves it out to the 44-yard line, and an Eastern Kentucky first down.
Well, Jim, in talking to the players and coaches, you have Jermaine Hopkins, Andre Jethro, and Paul Kahn for the Penguins in that 3-man front. Then with the linebackers, Chris Inglis, Leon Jones, Reggie Lee, and Tim Dillingham. Defensive backs, 4 seniors, Mays, Smith, Weaver, and Smith.
1st and 10 for Eastern from its own 44-yard line. Quick throw out, complete, and a big hit immediately by Chris Inglis. He flows out on that wing very well on that play. Everybody that's tried it this year has met Chris Inglis. Bobby Washington, the freshman wideout, with his 32nd catch of the year for just 1 yard.
English has done an outstanding job for the Penguins. Sophomore linebacker from Austintown Fitch High School. And the Penguins operate in basically a 5-man front. They'll drop the linebackers off. They'll also end up in a lot of 4-deep zone. Right now you'll see the double corners and the halfbacks, the 2 safeties back.
On 2nd and 9, Sacca look to the flat, steps up, dragging along Andre Jethro across midfield and close to an Eastern Kentucky first down in Penguins territory. That is something that makes John Sacca very dangerous. It is something Youngstown State did not have to contend with last week with Steve McNair. He was operating on a bad hamstring and pretty much sat in that shotgun formation all day and just winged the ball up and down the field. 82 passes. Here is the scramble. You saw him look out into the flat and then take off.
Well, the object of the defense here is to keep the quarterback in the barrel, what they call the barrel. They want to keep him in between the 2 tackles there. Sacca does a real nice job. He'll step up in there and then slide between the 2 tackles, and the linebacker coming up there and picked up pretty close to the first down.
Yeah, you saw it about a shoulder width apart were the hands of the official. These officials, by the way, are from the Southern Conference today. So it'll be 3rd and less than a yard for
Coach
Eastern.
Roy Kidd on the side there.
Coach Kidd said yesterday that the real measure of his team's improvement as it applies to this game today compared to the performance in September in the offensive line. He says if our offensive line plays, we'll be all right. If they don't, could be another long afternoon.
But Jimmy has a 46-pound-a-man advantage on that front line. He averages 279. The Penguins on the defensive side, 233. Double tight end formation.
Andre Jethro shoots across and makes contact with offensive center Son Tran.
Jim, I didn't see any movement. I think it'll be on the Penguins. I think Andre got a little fired up there. Thought they were going to come across because Sacca will run a quarterback sneak in a situation there.
It is against the Penguins, so Eastern Kentucky will get the first down without the snap. You wonder how a nose man who's looking right at the football can jump offside. Like an end or a tackle there, they may not be, but you're right there. That's tough.
That's what fires up the coaches. All you have to do, son, is watch the ball. Don't be listening to the quarterback. Sacca did a real nice job because he's barking out the signals, went on a little longer count, and
That's Reggie Lee on your screen there. Penguins linebacker, their second leading tackler behind Leon Jones. Danny Thomas in motion. Pitch to Eric Clay. Gets caught up in traffic across the 40-yard line. Smothered at about the 38, a gain of 3 for Mr. Clay, who, by the way, has now long since passed that magic 1,000-yard mark. He only needed 2 yards this afternoon to reach that, and he had 3 on his very first carry of the day. Here's a look at it from behind the Penguins defense.
The G-block. Watch the 2 guards come out front on this play here. Now, the corner, Vance Mays, will come up on the outside. He'll cause some problems in there for the blocking. And also, Tom Dillingham did a nice job on that play for the Penguins.
Mays, number 4, and there you saw Dillingham, 44. Number 58 there is Jermaine Hopkins, defensive end, who has become a very key player for the YSU defense. The gain was 2, 2nd and 8 from the YSU 39. Little play action to Clay. Saka airs it into the middle. Got his man. It's Diallo Burks for an Eastern Kentucky first down. Burks with his 32nd catch of the year. He and Bobby Washington came into today dead equal, except Burks had 100 more yards.
Good pass protection on a part of the line. It's a turn-in pattern here by the wide out. You have Combs, Hand, Tran, and Gentry on that offensive line doing a nice job providing the blocking for John Saka there.
16-yard pickup, 1st and 10 Eastern Kentucky at the YSU 23. This drive already is a little bit of a difference from the first game when Youngstown State dominated time of possession. Quick handoff to Stallings, spinning and driving down to the 20 and leaning across to about the 19-yard line. Stallings, junior fullback out of Louisville. That's his 68th carry of the year. He's averaging almost 7 yards a carry, which is almost unheard of for a fullback. He only got, he got about 4 on that play with the good effort.
45, Chris Inglis will make the first hit there coming down the inside from his outside linebacker position. He slanted down the inside, made the first pop, and then the linebacker Lee came in to help him out.
2nd and 6 Eastern at the Youngstown 19. Option play, Saka, good run, and then is hit by Reggie Lee and Lester Weaver. Weaver actually getting down and making the primary contact, number 2.
That's a good block that time by Jason Combs, number 66. He'll come off the ball. He'll push Cohn back off the ball, or Jones back off the ball, and then Saka makes a nice move on Inglis, the outside linebacker, when he came down the line of scrimmage there.
7-yard pickup for John Saka and a first down at the YSU 12-yard line. Saka has now rushed for about 200 yards this season. Eastern Kentucky did not score a touchdown until the 3rd quarter of the first meeting between these two teams, and that was the first touchdown Youngstown gave up this season on its defense. Eric Clay, the ball carrier there, crosses inside the 10 to about the 9, a gain of 3, 2nd and 7 coming up. YSU very stingy in the red zone, continuing to rank among the nation's leaders in points allowed, 2nd in the nation, even though they gave up 20 last week to Alcorn. That's the most they've given up to anybody all season long.
And Reggie Lee, the inside linebacker, and Leon Jones are the 2 fellows coming up underneath that time defensively. Again, the Penguins defensive line averages 233 pounds against this real fine EKU line at 279.
Eastern knocking on the door. There's that little fake pitch. There it is. And this time Eric Clay is swarmed under. May have lost a half a yard or so. The Penguins did not bite on that first little pitch fake. They stayed home and buried Eric Clay. If this was a natural surface, he would have had some clay in his face because he went down hard.
Well, you see Inglis come out this time. The last time he played from the quarterback to the pitch man. This time they got heavy pressure on the quarterback by the tackle Jones in there, and then Inglis was able to move outside to make the tackle.
There's Chris, the sophomore from Austintown Fitch High School, 3rd and 7 from the 9. Saka trying to step up. He's in the grasp, and down he goes. Big sack. Let's Let's see who gets up off the bottom of the pile. 45. It is Chris English once again, and Andre Jethro was also there. A huge defensive play for the Penguins on third down. It will be fourth down now from the 14, and it will be time for Eastern to settle for a field goal. English flying through the air and just would not let go of Saka, and number 97, Jim Jones, got a piece of the action as well.
Well, Saka was trying to work his tight end down inside. When they get inside the goal line, they like the tight end curl. Three receivers out on the pattern. The kick's up.
Collins
No
hits
good.
the upright. Mark Collins, who missed an extra point here in game one, while the Penguins missed 3 field goals, hits the upright on a 31-yard field goal attempt. Both teams have come up dry on field goal attempts in their first possession of the day. So we have burned 10 minutes off the clock in this football game, and there are still zeros under the score columns.
Well, both of these coaches
will be discussing strategy while we pause. That's what will happen. 4:59 to go, first quarter. We're still scoreless.
For almost 20 years, Trek has been making some of the best bikes in the world. And Bank One has been there, doing whatever it takes to finance research, expansion, and technology breakthroughs. Because sometimes a banker has to believe in a business, if that business is ever going to fly.
At Jack Burford Chevrolet Oldsmobile GM, we're bringing our best to you.
At Jack Burford, we don't just sell cars and trucks. We stand behind each and every one, making sure every new vehicle receives careful follow-through service from our staff of certified technicians. The best prices, the best service, the best follow-through. That's what bringing our best to you is all about.
At Jack Burford Chevrolet Oldsmobile GM, we're bringing our best to you.
Well, come on in, business. Look around.
There's a bed.
Whoa, stop everything. Shepherd's Home Furnishings now has 2 locations, one in Richmond and now one in Winchester. Shepherd's Home Furnishings has the greatest selection of name brand furniture without sacrificing quality. Brand names like Broyhill, Lane, and Lazy Boy. Christmas is just around the corner, and now we have 2 locations to serve you better. Remember, Shepherd's Home Furnishings off US 25 South in Richmond and now in Winchester in the Boonesboro Plaza.
Shepherd's, where home is our middle name. Well, welcome back, folks, and in this situation here, we'll see the place kicker, Mark Collins, will come through. He just opened up his foot a little bit and pushed the ball to the outside and hit that upright, bounced off to the right. No score. Yes, sirree. Do I ever understand that? That's how I paid my way through college. I've got getting them through the poles, but not just hitting the poles.
I want to touch base with you on that in a little while because I know you played against Eastern Kentucky and Coach Kidd early in his career, so that I don't want to date you too much or date Coach Kidd too much. By the way, we want to wish a happy birthday to Coach Kidd. He'll add another year to his resume officially tomorrow, I believe. So happy birthday to him. And while we're passing along good wishes and checking out the penalty, also want to wish happy birthday to Youngstown State Sports Information Director Greg Goulas, who hit the big one yesterday. Greg turned 4-0 and looks no worse for the wear, I might add. Penguins lined up offside, so they'll take a 5-yard penalty. It'll be 1st and 15 from the 15.
Yeah, and I told him don't blink your eye because 5-0's coming up next. And that happens very quickly, and there's a lot of folks out there will attest to that.
There's a good look at Mark Brungard behind center Chris Samarone. Trent Boykin in motion. Sean Patton with the football. Not much running room. Sean had 131 yards rushing in the first meeting of these 2 teams this season. Did not get into the end zone. Gain of a yard. We'll call it 2nd and 14 coming up.
Jim, there was a real fine defensive play on the part of Victor Highland out of Manchester, Kentucky. He's a 6-foot sophomore linebacker. Made an excellent play that time for the Colonels.
2nd and 14. Penguins with high backs, 2 wideouts to the right of the formation and 1 to the top of your screen.
Linebackers back out. They look like they're going to stunt, and then they back out of there.
Sean Patton, good slant, 20, 25, 30, and dragged down at the 35-yard line. First touchdown. Carlos Timmons made the tackle.
Okay, watch the play now. As they come back here, you'll see McCombs will step up inside. He backs out. Then he steps back up again, and he gets caught between Samarone. Now there's the block, or the block, and then the break to the outside. Chris Samarone is the offensive center for the Penguins, and provided an excellent block on the ball. Great pursuit on the part of the Colonels.
And Victor Highland tackled there when Patton gave him that last move before Timmons got to him. 1st and 10, Youngstown. There's Sean Patton, 35-yard line. Penguins caught the Colonels' defense in a shift. The pass to the far side to Trent Boykin skipped in. Trent trying to convince the officials otherwise, but he did get it on the first hop. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, Trent Boykin, for a little guy, he's like that 5'5". I think they put him on there at 5'6". I don't know if he's that tall, because I look him eyeball to eyeball, and I'm not that tall. And that ball comes down in. Now Trent will try to convince this one here.
Yeah, there he saw it skip right in.
Skipped right into his hands there.
Boykin is 7 catches away from becoming the... actually 8 catches away from being the 2nd all-time leading receiver in Youngstown State history. He's got 143 catches. He needs 151 to pass Rick Sheffis, who is at 150 and retired. There's Sean Patton again, trying to cut back in the hole, gets 3 yards. It'll be 3rd and 7 coming up.
Well, Jim, in talking to the Penguin offensive linemen, they said that this defensive line, Balcom, Gibbons, Childress, and Jesse from Kentucky, they felt that it's one of the stronger defensive lines they faced all year, and these fellas get a good push upfield, and that was the challenge facing the Penguins today, because this defensive line, again, has pretty good size, about 263 pounds a man.
Saw Penguins coach Jim Tressel pondering the situation. 3rd and 7. Penguins with 2 wideouts to the top. Darnell Bracey to the bottom. Quick throw out. He had Trent Boykin right at the first down marker, and then he was hit and driven back. It's going to be spotted, I think, just short of the first down. They'll have to measure this. It's going to be extremely close.
Well, there's no doubt it's short of the first down. Now, you see the turn-in pattern on the top, and basically the receiver should have gone another step deeper. I mean, you come up, and right now you're about 4 inches short. Good defensive play on the part of the Colonels.
Sean Handley on the coverage. Tim Dreslinski quickly into punt, hangs one up into the wind, taken at the 19-yard line. Penalty marker down, a big hit, which has drawn some ire of the fans here. The man who came down and, popped the Penguins coverage guy was Chris Pruitt. And we still have a Penguin down amidst boos. The return guy was Bobby Washington.
Well, Jim, on the punt, the Colonels set up a wall formation on the return there, and Pruitt just came down and popped him on the side, right in the side. I think their legs got tangled up a little bit on that on the coverage there. And just to go back to that story that you were talking about, in 1963, I was